like type in a headline for a news story and it can kind of predict what it thinks the story should be. Or you could train it so that it could be a chatbot, right? Where, okay, if you're prompted with this question, you can get this response. But one of the interesting things is it turns out that there's actually nothing specific to using human language in it. So if instead of feeding it human language, if you use that model architecture for a network and instead you feed it all of the human cell atlas data, then if you prompt it with a state of a cell, it can spit out different versions of like what, how that cell can interact, or different states that the cell could be in next when it interacts with different things.
Does it have to take a genetics class? So for instance, if you give it a bunch of genetics
No.
data, do you have to say, hey, by the way, and then you give it a genetics class so it understands that, you got DNA, RNA, mRNA, and proteins?
No, I think that the basic nature of all these machine learning techniques is they're basically pattern recognition systems. So they're these like very deep statistical machines that are very efficient at finding patterns. So it's not actually, you don't need to teach a language model that's trying to speak a language, a lot of specific things about that language either. You just feed it in a bunch of examples, and then let's say you teach it about something in English, but then you also give it a bunch of examples of people speaking Italian. It'll actually be able to explain the thing that it learned in English in Italian, right? Even though it is, so the crossover and just the pattern recognition is the thing that is pretty profound and powerful about this. But it really does apply to a lot of different things. Another example in the scientific community has been the work that AlphaFold, that basically the folks at DeepMind have done on protein folding. It's just basically a lot of the same model architecture, but instead of language there, they kind of fed in all of the protein data, and you can give it a state and it can spit out solutions to how those proteins get folded. So it's very powerful. I don't think we know yet as an industry what the natural limits of it are. I think that's one of the things that's pretty exciting about the current state. But it certainly allows you to solve problems that just weren't solved with the generation of machine learning that came before it.
It sounds like CZI is moving a lot of work that was just done in vitro in dishes and in vivo in living organisms, model organisms or humans, to in silico, as we say. So do you foresee a future where a lot of biomedical research, certainly the work of CZI included, is done by machines?